Bonani, Batwana, Botisha, Nabazali. Good evening, teachers, principals, and parents, and all respected guests, honored officials, educators, members of our community. Do you know, this started in a radio studio with my co-host of School Matters, who hates being in the front, Sister Veronica, who's an educator at George Campbell. So if you listen to her, that's Veronica. And in the last few years, the event grew bigger from where we had to do slots of people into studios. Eventually, for the last 2 years, we took it into the conference room, a little small room where the Lanis have their meals. But it was still too small. And last year, we took it into the conference center. This is the conference center. And sadly, in the last 2 hours, I had to turn down 17 schools due to seating and catering purposes. But inshallah, with the grace of the Almighty, definitely next year, bigger and better. Well, my name, as of all of you guys know, is Sumaya Khan, and I'm the producer and presenter of School Matters, Youth Frequency, and a civic activist and an education activist. My aim is to create camaraderie, leadership with our youth, to have our learners, our educators from different races, different cultures to work together and celebrate together too. You know, ceremonies for today's special occasions. I know lots of parents seated here have been flying from Johannesburg to school dinners, to district dinners, to circuit functions, celebrating our top achievers, celebrating our learners. But you know, today, we're not only celebrating those who have achieved academic excellence, we have learners who thought they would not even pass. We had learners who, again, lost loved ones, learners who have experienced natural disasters, due to flooding and other issues, but they made sure they did it. As you guys are aware, before any event, we always start with the welcome and an opening prayer. So ladies and gentlemen, to formally open our program honoring the class of 2025 top achievers, I invite representatives from all around. But this evening, I'd like to call the people who work behind the scenes, the people who create camaraderie, the individuals who are humbly have supported education, not only in KZN, but throughout South Africa. You know, lots of schools have feeding schemes. Lots of schools have uniform drives. Lots of schools are in need of boreholes, infrastructure. And this foundation, the radio is part of it. I'm a little speck of it, who make dreams possible. So I'd like to call upon Radio Al Ansar Foundation, the CEO, Mr. Yunus Sakur.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening to our honorable guests this evening. Before I commence the formal welcome, I'd like to call our colleague here to render the prayer, and we will commence thereafter.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الضالين آمين. All praise is to God, the most merciful, the most compassionate. All praise is to God, Lord of the worlds, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Master of the day of judgment, you alone do we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us along the straight path, the path of those whom you have blessed, not those you are displeased with, or those who are astray. Ameen.
Thank you, Abdullah, for the prayer and reading the English translation. On behalf of the board of the Al Ansar Foundation and the Media Network, we are delighted and privileged to host this event whereby we are honoring our top achievers for 2025, matric achievers. Before I chat further, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of District Director Busi Mashlambi. I think later on in the program, the KZN Department of Education spokesperson Musi Mashlambi will join us. Also want to acknowledge the presence of the Deputy President and Provincial Chairperson of one of the civic organizations and political parties, Maibuya Africa, the Deputy President, Sfela Mashlaba. I just noticed he walked in with Abdul Valodia. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Liam Raymond, co-host Youth Frequency Radio Show, as well as Michelle Willoughby. She's also the youth coach and founder of TUT SA. And I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of Abdullah Abisola. Sumaya tells me that he was one of the high achievers last year. We're delighted to have him here this evening. I want to mention that this particular event means a lot to the Al Ansar Foundation and Media Network because it's bringing back the future of South Africa into the hall this evening. And I was just mentioning to some of our guests that Sumaya is currently the coordinator of this event, but she's also the presenter of School Matters for more than about 20 years in Al Ansar. And she's got a lot of love for school education to such an extent that she convinced us last year as a board that I need money to take care of indigent learners in all the schools throughout the district in which she is currently involved. And we allocated last year 400,000 to provide support for all schools. And we also allocated this year another 400,000, but she tells me that's too less, so we'll have to look for more funding. She's also been involved in News in Focus on Wednesdays as a co-presenter with me, and she talks civic affairs, political programs, etc. And then recently she was appointed to do the program called Youth Frequency, of which her co-hosts are present here this evening. So Sumaya got a lot of love for education, activism, etc. But having said that, I want to indicate that all of you present, the principals of approximately 37 schools, and I recall, and I was trying to work out how long ago I did matric. It was about 51 years ago. So a school called Burnwood High, I think, I'm not sure that the current principal is present, but that's at that time the school just opened when we moved in from the primary school into Burnwood High in Clare Estate. And those days it was the apartheid era and there was a different dimension to education. And then when we graduated, we were sort of given places at the University of Durban Universal to study, and I completed my accounting studies and then spent a lot of time in government. But having said that, our leaders today talk about education being those top achievers, those matriculants that achieve top marks. You guys are going to be the future leaders in the universities where you're going to be allocated or you're going to decide to study. And Chips and Ethan Naidu, and he's got 7 distinctions plus, sort of another pass, and he will be doing medicine at UCT, and he was given an honor in the Port Shepstone area. But most of the top achievers are choosing medicine and other fields. But I was listening to a program earlier on in Al Ansar, where some of the educators were chatting about the average learners that just made the cut. And these are the big achievers going forward beyond metrics. So we cannot look back and say that they may not have achieved 7 distinctions, that they're not capable of becoming top entrepreneurs going forward, because we know some of the top entrepreneurs were average students in metrics. So I think, as far as we are concerned, every person that passed metric will add value to our country, will add the skills, will become an important person in society. And the skill that they take up, it all depends how they excel in that skill. That will enable them to become big achievers going forward. So I'm delighted on behalf of the Al Ansar Foundation to be present here this evening. I thank you all for coming and joining us, and I'm sure the program that's going to follow that Sumaya has prepared will give us more enlightenment and acknowledgement of the good efforts of the matriculants. Do enjoy this evening's program, and we'll have a chat as we go along. But I'd like to hand over to our producer, MC Sumaya. Sumaya, thanks very much for allowing me this opportunity to chat on behalf of the board. Thank you. Good evening.
Jazakallah for that. Thank you. There was our CEO. For those of you who don't know him, I'm getting him by surprise. He's wearing a religious garb, but he was one of those guys from municipality. He was in charge of human settlement back in the day. So thanks to the Almighty, we have a leader in this institution who knows what are the needs of us, what are the needs of the human being first before anything else. So thank you once again for giving me this opportunity and everyone who's present here to be part of this auspicious occasion. Our next guest is somebody who, when I phoned him, he was so humble. Actually, I still phoned Mummy. And he's no more a little boy. She's sitting in the back there, Dr. Abisola. She said, no, inshallah, definitely. He serves so much of importance in honoring the learners when it comes to this journey. He's been involved in so much and so many things. And when I was introducing him earlier on to those who never met him, they just saw a young gentleman there busy fiddling, as we will say, ones who are old, with a camera and some devices. And they were quite amazed. But we don't want to show off, but you are an example. And I think our leadership, our district director will agree with us. Our children received the A's, they got the distinctions, they have it all. But where from now? What are we studying? Are we accepted? We never get accepted to study what we wanted. Are we depressed? What are we going to do? And they say life starts now. So he's here. He's going to motivate you. He's going to tell us where from here. Where are we going from here? I'd like to call upon Abdullah Abisola.
Thank you so much, Auntie Sumaya. Can I take this out? Thank you. So, whenever when people talk about you, you hear something new about yourself every single time. So this is the first time I'm hearing something. I hope it's the first of many times. I hate giving speeches. I absolutely hate it. I hated it in school. And I told myself when I was head boy at my previous school, I said, this is the last speech I'm giving. I'm not giving any more speeches after this. And then here we are. So, as I said, I don't like giving speeches. So I think I would like this to be a conversation. I would like this to be a discussion and not feel like something that you have to cross your hands and listen to someone speak for like 6 to 10 minutes. And then when are we going to eat the food? But anyway, it's so surreal because I remember myself being at your around this time last year. When somebody says he's going to come here and motivate you, he's going to come here and encourage you, but I'll try my best to just pass on a few words. Okay, so show of hands. How many of you here have done physics in school? Physics students? Yo, that's a lot of physics students. So I think you'll understand this when I say, okay, you guys, for those who need a refresher, I mean, it's been quite long, the holiday. So potential energy is mass multiplied by gravitational acceleration multiplied by height. Don't ask me how I remember that. It's been 2 years. I don't want any questions. But let's dissect the formula a little bit. So what is mass? You see, mass in the context of my advice is the challenges that you face in your life, the challenges that weigh you down, that have weight. Gravitational acceleration, right? You guys did VPM, vertical projectile motion. You needed to calculate objects accelerating up and down. You guys are lucky your acceleration was constant. If you're studying engineering, you're not so lucky. So you won't know what I'm talking about. So you have these challenges. Now imagine for a second that you are here. This is where you are. You just completed grade 12. Congratulations, you're at the bottom of the mountain. Now, university is the mountain, and at the top we have the summit. So potential energy is a concept that describes how much potential an object has, the potential to do so many things, you know, his future is bright. So right now, look at yourself like that. Can ever regret in their lives is not achieving their full potential. As we said, the top of the summit is university. At the end of university, don't we all want to have some sort of assurance that when you don't want to be listening to this. So there was a guy called Newton. I'm sure everybody here knows about him. Probably hates him. Yeah, that physics paper wasn't really good, isn't it? Anyway, I'm not really a comedian. I'm just here to pass some jokes. So Newton has a couple of laws, but I just want to take two. Newton's first law, which describes inertia. It states that an object at rest will stay at rest, and an object in motion will remain in motion unless it's acted upon by an external force. So let's go back to our analogy. You guys are here at the bottom of the mountain. We're going to use Newton's law to show you how you can traverse to the top of the mountain to reach your full potential. This is what I call competency. Having competency means that we don't want to be stuck in the same state for too long. Because, I mean, if you're stuck in the same state, we're not developing, we're not growing, you know, we're just going with the flow. There's this saying that you want to live life, you know, you don't want to just the next level. Make a friend. Make your goal to increase your network. Not just filling in people, but filling in people who add meaning to your life, who push you to that next level. So if people, our resultant force, act on us and we accelerate in a direction, then it people who add positive, and honestly, I haven't figured this out myself. You know, how do you know the person that you are with for the next 6, 3, 4 years is going to be that one who takes you to the next step? And honestly, I can't really give you advice in that sense. But to you, I just say trust yourself. Because this is a journey. Your mass is going to be there. We know mass is inversely proportional to acceleration. I don't think I need to, you know, describe that. So if you do more output, you increase your positive So in that case, what then do we tie our expectations to? In my experience, when we tie our expectations to the process rather than the outcome, it becomes very painstakingly clear what we need to do. We find contentment. That is the key. That's one of the being happy with your current position. Knowing, yes, you are headed to the top of the mountain to achieve your full potential, but you are satisfied just taking the next step. Because if we take a series of steps, or rather a series of climbs, then at the end of the day, at the end of your journey, at the end of your 6, 3, 4 years, you would have become someone who, if you look back, you'll be like, who's that person? Unrecognizable. Just, you are here, your current state, inertia. To move upwards, to increase your chances of reaching your potential, you need to find people and opportunities that can get. They are the resultant force. Was through his work. So continuously be grateful for that. And I think with that, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Wow. As they say, Enklonipo iya pumelela. Who knows what's that? Respect brings success. I mean, you know, with all the negativity, we have leaders amongst us. We have individuals who are going to make change. And the change is there, but it's us who are supposed to teach how to do it and to be the mover. So they are the next generation. No, they are the current generation. So that was Brother Abdullah Abisola, somebody who humbly, 2020, we can feel the leadership skills which are in him. And you know, we need mentors. We need people to assist and help our children, to help the communities, to help everyone. Our gogos, our nannies, our grannies are old. Our change. We complain, but the change is there. And he mentioned something so important, that regardless what religion you are, have faith in the Almighty. And that who's besides me, Michelle B. As everybody knows, if you listen to Youth Frequency, I call her Mommy Bear or Mama Bear, as she is Jamie's mom. This is a new frequency. It's a show every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Radio Al-Ansar. She joins us. We mock her at times. Sometimes she's there as my backstop when we're fighting with the youth. And when we talk about the youth is from the age of 15. She is a passionate advocate for youth growth and education. She's a youth coach and a founder of Tutsa, an organization dedicated to empowering learners through guidance and mentorship. Every single guest, our honorary guest seated right here, I do not meet them with another high school have differences. And she was there running around, and we started meeting and we started chatting. And I said, for me, it was bling, bling, ting, ting. You're coming on board. We definitely, the more the merrier, we can make a change. Michelle? Mommy Bear?
Thank you, Sumaya. Good evening, everyone. Like she says, they call me Mama Bear, so like also. There's something I've noticed before we started talking today. Today's a very special celebration for the top performers for 2025, am I right? Why? I haven't
Well, her daughter is Jamie, and she co-hosts Youth Frequency with us. And right now, she is. Can I say this? If you meet Jamie, automatically there's positivity. And she'll look at me and tell me, Auntie Sumaya, you know what? We have so much to do with the youth. And for me, it's like, but you are a youth yourself. You're 23 years old. And I look at her and I look at Liam and I say, you know what? As we say, these guys, let's be realistic. You can have those A's. You can have that degree. You can have that master's, that honors. But what guarantee that gives you to have a good life? When I'm talking about a good life, I'm talking about taking care of your family, paying your bills, doing the right thing. Absolutely important. We are going to be breaking for a prayer break. And also there's refreshments in the back. There's tea, coffee, sandwiches, bites. And when we get back, we will be going live on, continue with our speakers, and we will continue with the program. Okay, before we break for refreshments and the Al Ansar Foundation will
This observation that our sung heroes that dedicate their life in ensuring the learners reach this level where they become high achievers. And I see a lot of high achiever learners. You take care of them in school from 7 in the morning right till the time they leave in the afternoon. And this is why these achievers are still disciplined. They wear the uniforms and they always say yes, say good evening, say good afternoon, say etc. Because well, I thank you. Enjoy the refreshments.
please do not go after the refreshments. We YouTube and you can also audio stream. So you may have refreshments. The prayer rooms are down.